Prime Minister Narendra Modi is essentially a high performance supercar who's basically been able to outwork, outwit and outthink the opposition. In politics, there is no age of retirement. As long as the person is being able to catch votes, as long as he's been able to take the country forward, I don't think so there is an age of retirement. He has a vision to outthink but also implement as a nuts and bolts man on the ground. His pure work ethic alone makes it very difficult for opposition to catch up, because this is continuous 24/7 work. The Prime Minister believes in that first you give national security, only then you can give good economy to a country. So the two are linked. To attack the Lashkar-e-Toiba headquarters in Muridke and to attack Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters in Bahawalpur really takes a lot of guts. The man is not afraid to take a decision when it comes to national security. He's not afraid to take a decision when it comes to India's interest. For him, it's India first for the global good. He's just pro-India. He's not pro some community or somebody.
Hello and welcome. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has turned 75, and despite this being the second longest uninterrupted run in office as Prime Minister, his popularity remains high. His tenure as Prime Minister has been marked by ambitious reforms, infrastructural expansions, and several flagship initiatives like Atmanirbhar Bharat, Digital India, Make in India, to just name a few. On the global front, he has been an ardent defender of India's interest, be it in matters of trade, climate change, or even geopolitics. On his 75th birthday, we are joined by Hindustan Times' Shishir Gupta to decode the highlights of his tenure as Prime Minister so far and what lies ahead of him. Welcome to the show. So, there are a lot of these questions which we will talk about today, whether it is his legacy, whether it is his the way he has changed the narrative about India. But the first question that I would like to come to is, it is a landmark year of 75. We had seen how it played out in the previous elections. There had been a lot of chatter around it. 75 is also an age which is associated with, for the last 10-15 years, about the age of retirement. So how do you see this pan out?
See, who has defined that 75 is the age for retirement? In politics, there is no age for retirement. As long as the person is being able to catch votes, as long as he's been able to take the country forward, I don't think so there is an age of retirement. And even at the age of 75, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is essentially a high performance supercar who's basically been able to outwork, outwit and outthink the opposition. And that is why he will continue to remain the leader of the BJP till such time the BJP actually runs out of breath, and which is not going to happen given the state of opposition.
How do you see the last, from 2014 to now, how has been the tenure? It's about 11 years and there's a lot being done, a lot has been spoken about. What, for you, what would be the key takeaways, the biggest highlights or headlines, as we say, of the last 11 years journey?
See, what you see is the growth of India. I mean, it's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's legacy at the age of 75 is defined by how India has grown on the world stage, how India has grown economically, how India is now the fastest growing, largest economy in the world. So what you essentially see is how India is performing on the global stage, where now it is among the top 4 powers. You see how India is growing economically. You see how India has grown on the national security front. And then you see the infrastructure and the various things that have happened. And there has been no plateau in this. It has been growing and it's been growing up. And that is what defines the man. I mean, he has a vision to outthink, but also implement as a nuts and bolts man on the ground. That is what actually makes the man what he is all about. I'll actually tell you something more than that. I've known this. I've known the Prime Minister as the Gujarat Chief Minister also now for nearly more than 2 decades. I'll give you a very particular example. I mean, here is this man who's a political leader, who's also a visionary, and who's also somebody who's got a great work ethic. I'll take you way back to December 2007, when the Gujarat elections were on. That is the day when then Congress President Sonia Gandhi called Narendra Modi Maut ka Saudagar. That was the day when Narendra Modi actually, he early in the morning, he was supposed to do a rally in Bhuj later in the day, early in the morning, because he had been doing continuous rallies, he lost his voice. The man came from a rally late in the night at 12 o'clock, then did speech therapy till 4 o'clock, then went into a rally in Bhuj. Then suddenly he had this, when the Congress president made this statement, and immediately he retaliated back. His political timing, his work ethic, and his vision is what defines the man. And that continues to be so. I mean, here is a man, it's not that he doesn't have jet lag. He has jet lag like all of us. But here is the man who can continuously work and without a holiday. So he's actually redefined Indian politics in many ways. His pure work ethic alone makes it very difficult for opposition to catch up, because this is continuous 24/7 work with future vision and implementing on ground.
Right. One of the hallmarks that we've seen is how India responds to security issues, whether it's a terror attack or whether it's some sort of an insurrection or whatever it has been, whether we've seen from Pathankot to last being Operation Sindoor. So how do you think he's defined India's defense strategy and India's reaction to such big events, of often where the lines between state and non-state actors are blurred?
You see, I think the Prime Minister believes in that first you give national security, only then you can give good economy to a country. So the two are linked. Security and economy are linked together. And for security, national security, he has kept that on the highest priority. And he is not afraid to take a decision. That is what defines him. Now, let me tell you something. The first was that when the Uri terror attack took place in 2016, he had just come over. And within a matter of 10 days, he retaliated back across the line of control. Okay? And then he destroyed the terror pads across in occupied Kashmir. Then in 2017 was Dhoklam. Now, I have a very vivid memory of that, because that particular day when the PLA started coming towards Torsa Nala on the Dhoklam Plateau, I recall it was National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar, and then Army Chief General Bipin Rawat. They went to the Prime Minister saying that this is what has happened. Apparently, the man reacted, saying, "What are you telling me? Go and take a call." And that is where, without waiting, we actually went ahead and stopped the Chinese movement towards Jampheri Ridge. So the Prime Minister is defined by taking very strong national security decisions. Similarly, it was in Pulwama. Once the Pulwama attack took place, within in a fortnight, you had Operational Balakot, and again retaliated way back in the hinterland of Pakistan, right? Similarly, if you look at the May 2020, the PLA transgressions in East Ladakh, then you look at what happened during Operation Sindoor, Pahalgam, and the attack took place. Now, it's very easy for people to say, okay, so this is what he normally does. I'll take you way back. When 26/11 attacks took place, there was this thinking that whether India would retaliate after no less than 206 people had been butchered in Mumbai. but nothing really happened. In fact, within 8 months, you were talking in Sharm el Sheikh, and you actually gave away on Balochistan, right? But here you see this particular thing to attack the Lashkar-e-Toiba headquarters in Muridke and to attack Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters in Bahawalpur really takes a lot of guts, because you are attacking in the hinterland of Pakistan, that is Pakistani Punjab, and you are doing to a country which is a declared nuclear weapon state. So all this defines what the Prime Minister is all about. I mean, the man is not afraid to take a decision when it comes to national security. He's not afraid to take a decision when it comes to India's interest. For him, it's India first for the global good.
So taking your cue from India first, it's one of the slogans that we've heard a lot in the last 11 years has been Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. So while there's been some criticism that Atmanirbhar Bharat remains a pipe dream and all, we have seen some sort of a momentum coming into manufacturing and other sectors. How do you see this journey of Atmanirbhar Bharat, and do you think as he moves towards this tenure and further, is Atmanirbhar Bharat going to be one of the main focal points of where he's want to put his work in?
Shubhajit, Atmanirbhar Bharat is a slogan which is not new. If you go back to the debates in Lok Sabha after the 1962 war, you will see the word indigenization mentioned in those debates continuously. But 60 years later, nobody except for the Prime Minister has been actually really being able to work on Atmanirbhar Bharat. In fact, let me tell you something. Yesterday, the Prime Minister was at the Combined Commanders Conference in Kolkata, and he addressed all the top commanders for 3 hours. And the slogan yesterday he gave them was JAY, that is jointness, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and integration. Atmanirbhar Bharat is the cornerstone to India for developing a military-industrial complex which subsequently translates into civilian life. And that is what he's been doing. If you look at the exports of hardware that India has done, I mean, today you're supplying BrahMos missiles to Philippines, you're supplying top artillery guns, weapons to all the countries, and our exports have grown multifolds. So Atmanirbhar Bharat is not merely a slogan for him. It is something which he believes in, and it is something which India has to do. You cannot be a global power till such time you have your own military industrial complex. You can't be a global power if you don't develop your own jet engine, and that is what he's doing. In fact, now what is going to happen is the DRDO is soon going to approach the Cabinet Committee on Security for India and French Safran to jointly develop a 120 to 140 kilonewton jet engine which will empower the advanced multi-role combat aircraft which is being designed by the DRDO. So Atmanirbhar Bharat is actually the fundamental for India to grow. The problem is not what the Prime Minister is thinking. The problem is the Indian bureaucracy. It is the Indian bureaucracy which cannot go beyond their own turfs. They cannot share their power with the private sector, and Atmanirbhar Bharat can only happen when the private and the public sector merge. So it is the bureaucracy which needs to change. The Prime Minister has a vision, they have to implement it.
Right. Breaking of silos is something which is very interesting, because if we shift our focus to generally global politics as well and geopolitics per se, so even there we've seen that India has been constantly on the verge of breaking through the entire nexus. We've seen that it's been like, even if when there's been like in this recent incident of Trump putting in 50% tariff and all of that, where India's sovereignty and India's right to seek what's best for India has been questioned. India has been coming back as a strong entity which doesn't want to concede its ground on the orders of someone else. So this is also a playbook which has come in. And how do you see India playing out in the global landscape, whether it's economically or as a global superpower?
See, the Prime Minister is very clear. He basically believes in protecting India's national interest, and that's where it is. So when it comes to the Indo-US trade deal, despite this 50% tariff, the Prime Minister did not back down. I mean, he did not utter any word. He did not join any words with anybody else. He just kept quiet, and he's just waiting. In fact, I mean, yesterday only the US trade representative has again come into India for talks on the trade deal. So he's come from Dhaka. So Brendan Lynch. So the talks are going on, but India did not back down. 50% tariff, fine. India did not stop importing oil from Russia just because somebody called Peter Navarro said so. So the point is, India is holding on its own, whether it is trade deal, whether it is climate change, whether it is any bilateral activity or multilateral activity that goes on the global stage. India has defined what it wants from UN. So there's no fog about the man. I mean, he thinks clearly and he will say, this is my interest and this is how I'll protect it. And that's where it is. So whether it is US, whether it is Russia, he did not give up on Russia, right? Just because somebody told him to do so. I mean, he did not give up on France. He did not give up on, even with US, the engagement goes on continuously. But where he needs to stand, he stands up for the country. And that is what defines the man. So that is why India today is a country which the world looks at. I mean, you look at the other side of this whole noise about trade deal. Today, it's very difficult for the world media to ignore India. And that is what has happened. Willy-nilly, India is on the global stage, whether you like it or not.
Right. So another question that comes in from here probably is, now it's at the defining age of 75. What is going to be, according to you, his focus for the next few years?
His focus is purely on Viksit Bharat, making India a developed country by 2047. Now, the point is, till such time he's around and his health permits it, and he's able to perform at the same level that he is currently doing, his focus is to go for economic growth while not compromising a word on national security. His focus is making India a manufacturing hub of the world. His focus is on making India as an alternate global supply chain. His focus is to make India where India has the leverage with the world in case the worst case scenario plays out. I mean, he's not defining anybody as this is the enemy or this is the friend. He's engaging everybody till such time the other person is not up to some adversarial antics like Pakistan is, right? So he will engage China, he will engage Russia, he will engage US continuously, he will engage Latin America, he will engage Africa, so that Indian goods, Indian manufacturing goes to all these places. So once India becomes a manufacturing hub, like China has been for past 2 decades, then you will see the growth of India, which will translate in making India a developed country. India with world-class infrastructure, which work has already happened. People don't understand a very simple thing. It took you 78 years to reach Mizoram. Just think about it. And who did it? It was Narendra Modi. It took you nearly 75 years to abolish Article 370. Who did it? Narendra Modi. So here is this man who's willing to take strong decisions and back them up. I mean, you couldn't even handle the left-wing extremism, for God's sake. So what you are seeing is, you are seeing a man who's not sort of, he's just pro-India. He's not pro some community or somebody. Okay. So what you will see is India growing. And till such time India grows, it is Narendra Modi and his legacy remains. What is equally important is that it is time that there is the the ease of doing business in India, that has to really take place. Because right now, what you're seeing is the youth will get increasingly frustrated because the government doesn't have that kind of jobs. So you have to have the private sector doing it. And private sector can only operate if there is ease of doing business. You cannot have a businessman handling from constable to commissioner, their own thing. So it is the time that the bureaucracy, the corruption within the bureaucracy goes out. And that is where it will translate into ease of business. So that is what his fundamental focus is. Developed India is his focus, and he's got the energy to do it.
So this brings us to the last question, and it is about what are the 3 qualities and the 3 legacies that you value the most in the Prime Minister?
See, his work ethic is amazing. I mean, the man can really, really outwork you. He has the vision, he can outthink you. And his political timing is top class. I mean, he can turn an election even today by reaching out to the masses. And that is what makes him the Ferrari of Indian politics right now. Because he is really a high functioning machine who works without any holidays, without any social commitments, and continuously works day in and day out.
And 3 legacies?
See, Prime Minister will be defined by what he leaves with the country when he goes. And his biggest thing is going to be, and which is achievable, is developed India.
Right. Thank you so much for speaking to us. This chat was really insightful given the ringside view that you have into the highest offices of Indian polity. And as Prime Minister Narendra Modi turns 75, from the entire Hindustan Times team, a very happy birthday.